From Metamora Township High School in Metamora, Illinois, Clutch Sports Media, proud to be with you on a Saturday afternoon today. The 3-0 Dunlap Eagles have traveled to Metamora to square off against the 5-0 Metamora Redbirds. Joey Wright and John Komosa, and John will preview this on the other side of the national anthem. We're right up against it. Quick break, back for more on ClutchSportsIL.com.
Yep.
Back in Metamora, Illinois, Joey Wright and John Komosa getting ready for Dunlap and Metamora girls basketball. And John, a lot of key players we can talk about, but first, when you look at this matchup in these two teams, we mentioned top of the show, Dunlap 3-0, Metamora 5-0. Two just incredibly well-coached programs. Metamora has been good last couple of years. Dunlap has been good last couple of years. Anytime you see these two teams, you know you're going to get a good, solid product, and I expect the same here this afternoon.
Yeah, like you said, Joey, Dunlap coached by Heather Cassidy, great coach in the Mid-Illini Conference, and then you have Brianna Morrow on the Metamora side. Two very well coached teams, like you said. It should be a very high-powered matchup, and then the other night we saw Morton having their 65-game Mid-Illini winning streak snapped by Pekin, which totally opens the door for some of these other teams in Metamora now in sole possession of first.
Metamora expects a strong close to the season. We'll see how it plays out. Metamora coming off a big 78-12 win against Limestone the other night, so excited to see if the Redbirds can keep that firepower rolling. Key players, John, a lot we can look at for Metamora. I want to focus on Kayla Pesha, the 5'11 junior forward, 20 in white tonight as the Metamora lineups are being introduced. We'll talk about her first. Comes in averaging just under 17 points per game, an inside threat. And if she can get to the free throw line, dangerous there as well.
Yeah, she's going to be a tough player to contain. And Dunlap also has a nice cast of players in Sophia Rebel, Lily Sutter. So it's going to be a good matchup. You're going to see a lot of good players on the floor tonight. And like I said, expect a good game back and forth here.
Indeed. And for Dunlap, we take a look at Sophia Rebel, the 5'6 sophomore guard. Only a sophomore, already one of the area's best players. Her second year on varsity, scored 35 points against that Pekin team that beat Morton the other night. She'll be 5 in black tonight.
Yeah, and Joey, we're seeing that a lot more in the area. Some of these younger players emerging, and both the boys and girls level, the freshmen and sophomores almost leading these teams. And it's nice to see that young talent, like you said, as Sophia Rebel leads as a sophomore.
Absolutely, as the lineups are being introduced. We'll get those for you here in just a moment. I can tell you for Metamora, it'll be Grace Tyra, Katie Lalumander, joined by Pesha, Ramage, Katie Ramage that is, and Alana Terry. We are underway in Metamora. Glad you're with us on ClutchSportsIL.com as Dunlap wins the tip-off, shall we say, and Remmel kicks to the corner, and Bree Erickson. And Metamora will force a turnover. Dunlap's first possession squashed, and Metamora a little quick on the other end. That's tipped out of bounds by Dunlap, and the Redbirds will maintain possession.
Yeah, and Metamora averaging 61 a game. They like to get in transition and score, so we could see a high-powered matchup here, just depending on if shots are falling today.
Metamora inbounds, and a quick three, quick score. Count it for Grace Tira. 5'5" senior guard knocks it in, averaging just under 6 points per game this season. Has the first three of the game. Dunlap's starting five. Sophia Rebel, Bree Erickson, Lily Sutter, Gabby DeGalinardo, and Tiana Cummings. And it's Sutter who's going to attack up top and splits the lane and scores.
And she can be dangerous. She can create her own shots and get to the bucket, as you've seen just there. Made it look pretty easy.
Certainly did. She played varsity last year with her sister Elle. Elle Sutter was one of the key players for Dunlap a year ago. As Metamora works it down low, and good defense there from Sutter again.
It's a name that's pretty common in the Dunlap community.
She'll float one up, a little too strong. That was a formidable punch, Lily and Elle Sutter last year, along with a couple of key players that we'll call out tonight who played last year, Remmel among them, DeGalinardo, a returner as well. Metamora down low. They were trying to go to Terry, and Dunlap, John, really playing the passing lanes. They're forcing a lot out of bounds right now. That was last touched by the Eagles.
They are, Joey.
So Metamora will inbound, offensive zone, and it's Terry. Terry committed to play ball at Lewis, drops in a free throw. Giving the Redbirds a 5-2 lead.
With Terry and Paisha, too, with their size, 5'11" and 5'10", it can create some mismatches down in the post, and there goes Paisha.
Paisha up and off the glass.
Just like Sutter, Paisha can create her own shots, get in transition.
Paisha scores a lot of her points in that, the fast break situation, pokes it loose. Really a dangerous threat when she can get into transition.
Yeah, and as you stated before the broadcast, Joey, she likes to get to the line and she can make her free throws, which is huge at this level, but she also is going to draw a lot of contact with her size, so she can knock them down. This could be a problem for Dunlap if she gets inside today.
It's what you get, if you can drive inside, you might not always get the basket to go, but if you can knock them in at the free throw line, it's just the same. Free throw off the mark there from Cummings, and Metamora will push the pace. Now they'll slow it down. And it's up top, and Lalumander. Now Ramage. Katie Ramage, not to be overlooked. Leading three-point shooter and a PJ Star top 10 player entering this season is Ramage. Only a sophomore. Lalumander has it up top, and they'll swing to Tyra. Gets the screen and finds Terry. Terry showed some range earlier, knocked in one from the free throw line, but she'll hand off to Lalumander, back to Terry, and Terry will try to attack. Shot blocked.
And you can see Heather Cassidy on the sideline getting worked up at her players, saying to make sure you're containing that middle. A lot of screen and rolls from Metamora. They don't stop moving. So looking for those backdoor cuts, especially with Paisha and Terry.
That was DeGalinardo on the block, and we'll see what the Dunlap offense has in store here. It's rooted away. Nice play from Tyra. Up the Redbirds go. They had numbers, but the Dunlap defense caught up and stepped up and made the play.
Yeah, just didn't get that one to go, but you can see how quick Paisha gets down there. She's been at the rim a couple times already, so.
Julie Sollenberger will come in for Dunlap after the media timeout, and they call it a media timeout. That's something that we've noticed them doing last couple of games we've been at. It is, in essence, the mask timeout. So it just kind of gives players a break to switch masks, do whatever. It's tough playing in masks, John. It's what we've seen the number of games we've been at, boys or girls, especially in the second half. Mm-hmm. That's when one team has really tended to pull away and mount the run.
Yeah, and as the IHSA enforces why they have those mass timeouts, to catch a breath. But see a lot of kids during the games, get overheated, might have it down, but those refs are making sure, hey, keep that mask up. It's part of your uniform, so you can not drop that mask below your nose at any time. So But like you said, Joey, it can be hard because, you know, they're exerting a lot of energy out here. It gets a little tougher to breathe.
And we talk about our officials. One of them is Norm Ulrich this afternoon.
Long time
at the PJ
Journal
Star
writer. Yep.
Couldn't tell you who the other two are, unfortunately, but we know Norm's among them. Told him to call a good one.
And, you know, shout out to Norm being on that forefront of reffing these games. He's doing 7 games a week, so from the smaller level all the way to high school.
With this abbreviated season, you can find a game every day of the week.
Sure.
Rebel off the mark.
Sure can.
And yeah, that's something. The referees, Norm and our other two here today, and everyone we've seen this season, everyone we will see this season, they don't get enough credit. Even in a normal year, you know, it's a tough job. You've got the parents yelling at you and the players, and it's a tough job. There are a lot of people who don't want to do it, but especially this year, you know, they're out on the front lines, masking up, making the calls and getting out there.
And to your point, Joey, you think about all that they have to watch throughout the game for little foul calls out of bounds, traveling. Now they got to watch for a mask as well to make sure that those are up because they have to call that. They can do it. They can do a stoppage and play if that mask falls down. So hard job for the refs even this year.
I think the refs were excited to see these places are letting fans in now. They got to worry about that too.
I do. And there's a nice steal.
Here's Sutter, and Sutter draws the contact and the foul. First free throws we've seen tonight. And I say tonight, it's about 12:40 in the afternoon, a Saturday matinee, if you will. First leg of a Saturday doubleheader on ClutchSportsIL.com. We'll have the Metamora boys team and Roanoke Benson at 3:30. Excited to bring you that one as Sutter knocks in her first.
Yeah, and it should be a great matchup. Roanoke coming off last year, one of the last teams standing in the area as far as the small school boys before the season was called due to COVID. But Luke Brayman, a 6'9" standout there for the Rockets.
Abe Zeller has built a nice program, athletic director and boys basketball coach. Larry and John have that one for you at 3:30. As Sutter now has it in the corner for Dunlap. Guarded by Ramage. Contact, and they'll call that one on the floor.
You can see now, too, in these last couple minutes, Joey, that Dunlap's played a lot more aggressive, forcing some turnovers. So getting back into this game, I think they're kind of finding their groove a little bit, knowing that they can't let Metamora get to the basket with ease.
Next dead ball, Alyssa Russell will come in for the Redbirds. Dunlap off the mark, and the Redbirds will run it. Running it is Pesha, and that's the transition game we mentioned. Gets the easy two.
Yeah, Joey, she's so quick. If you don't get in front, you know, meet her at the three-point line on your other end, she'll burn you down that side.
Remmel attacks, and a nice find. DeGalinardo off the mark. Tip back to Remmel, and Remmel goes to work. Her first points of the game makes it a three-point contest.
Seen a lot of inside looks so far, only 1-3.
Dunlap defense again. John, I think that's the third or fourth time that's happened where they've forced it out of bounds. Metamora has maintained possession every time, but really making it tough on the Redbirds offense.
They are. You know, pressuring them a little bit and just making it a little harder on them inside. But I think Metamora is just trying to look for that bucket inside. You know, Dunlap's shutting that off. They know the keys to the game here.
Couple more substitutions into the game. I can tell you that Bree Erickson came in for Sophia Rebel for Dunlap. And Brooklyn Marshall came in for the Redbirds. We'll run you through the rest of those changes here as we get this sequence underway. It is Russell for Metamora, finding Marshall, and Marshall calling it out from the top of the key.
And that's a matchup that I really like down low here is Sutter on Pesha because she's not going to give her anything easy inside. Pesha's doing a lot of her scoring in transition when nobody's getting back with her, so.
Metamora nearly forced another steal there. That was Russell who was hot on the trail. Erickson now feeding to DeGalinardo, and Julie Sullenberger. Up top, and it's Peyton Haley, also fresh into the game for the Eagles. And the Eagles slowing it down a little bit here. Again, no shot clock in the IHSA, at least quite yet. And a three coming up. A little too strong from Sullenberger.
And, Joe, you can see Metamora's doing a great job of closing that that lane off. They're not getting any looks inside. Sutter's had to do a lot of spinning and driving just to try to create her own shot, so they're giving them anything outside.
Metamora was quick to feed it ahead, perhaps trying to create a transition situation off the miss and a travel. John, I really like how the Dunlap defense has played so far.
Yeah,
Metamora's got the lead, but they're really making it tough.
They've stepped it up a little bit, Joey. Like I said, after those transition buckets, they've really locked it down here on the defensive end and forcing a couple of those turnovers. And even the ball that Metamora is getting back, they're still making it hard on them to force a pass down there. So look for that, and that's why you see that Dunlap's back in this game.
Have a chance to tie with a 3, would make it a 1-point game with a 2. Sutter and Remmel, who is back into the game, will lead the offense up the floor. And they'll feed to Sollenberger, and Sollenberger floats it in. Julie Sollenberger with her first points in a 1-point game. Metamora feeding down low, pass to Terry, a little too much on it. Sollenberger will run it and feeds to Erickson. Now back to Sollenberger, and Dunlap will wisely slow it down a little bit.
Slow it down, look for a good shot.
And there was a look from Peyton Haley. Remmel was in the corner. Haley took the shot, a little off the mark.
And as I mentioned, Joey, I think Metamora, after getting those rebounds, wants to push it in transition and then realize they hit a wall right there. Dunlap's not allowing that anymore and forces another turnover.
Yeah, miscommunication on the pass. It was intended to the wing, and I want to say Lalumander, but regardless, out of bounds. Neither offense has been free of mistakes, but it seems like Dunlap's ending more possessions with shots. As we say that, they'll turn it over here, and that'll be a foul. They will call the foul. Bit of a late whistle there. Looked like an easy layup there for Lalumander had that not come in, but a lot of contact and the right call.
And Joey, do you think Metamora's had to adjust just a little bit? It seems like Dunlap looked like a different defense right out the gate, and now they're kind of slowing them down, changing their game.
That was Lalumander who was called for the foul. And Remmel will pull up and knocks in the 3. Dunlap has its first lead of the ball game.
Being down 7-2 just like that, they got 11-9 lead.
Metamora now trailing. Lalumander will call out the offense. 5'5" junior guard, only averaging about 3.5 a game, but brings a lot to the table as a point. 30 seconds left. And a feed down low. Brooklyn Marshall, no. Terry the rebound, no. Marshall again, no. Still loose, and Remmel will finally come out of it for Dunlap.
Just a great defensive effort right there for Dunlap.
Out of bounds. Nice effort there on the part of Haley to try and keep it in. Nice transition from Dunlap. Metamora caught up and made that difficult at the end. Now 10 seconds left in the quarter. And the Redbirds trying to go to Terry. Terry will go to work. And a foul on the floor will inbound with under 7 to play.
Yeah, Joe, you could see with their height inside with Brooklyn Marshall and Elena Terry and Pesha that they're not giving them anything. They're doubling off on them, making it very challenging.
Russell will trigger the inbound. 6 7/10 goes to Terry. Terry up with one hand, not quite. Rebound, no. Rebound, Dunlap. 2-1 buzzer. No shot from Erickson, and that's how the first quarter will end. John, a great first quarter of play. It was Metamora who started strong, the 7-2 lead. Dunlap came firing back, and we've got a great ball game at the Randall Tepke Gym.
We do indeed, Joey. Their defense has definitely turned it up a little bit on Dunlap's side, and saw just in that last sequence Terry fighting for a couple shots, 3 or 4 down the stretch there, but they're not giving her any easy looks. I like what I'm seeing out of Dunlap's defense, and Heather Cassidy's bringing that intensity.
She certainly is. Leading scorer entering the second quarter is going to be Sophia Rebel with 5 points, and then a lot of players for both teams right behind that. For Dunlap, right behind her, I suppose, is Lily Sutter with the quick 4 points. And we talk about Remmel. 35 points versus Pekin. I'll go back to that because that Pekin team has turned out to be more than I think a lot of people thought they would be with the win against Morton a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that was a big win, and anytime you could beat the Morton girls is a monumental win for your program.
If you were a Morton freshman in 2016-17, you went your whole high school career without seeing them lose a conference game, to put that 64-game conference winning streak in perspective.
If that tells you anything on how great Bob Barker's been as a coach. Bob Becker, sorry.
Yeah, and that had not their first long winning streak either. Bob Barker was a great game show host.
Yep.
Easy mistake to make, though, right? I mean,
when you're throwing a lot of names around all day, you know.
Yeah, and you get the alliteration built right into it.
You just figured it wouldn't be the one of the best coaches in the area. So,
an incredible program he's built there, though. I mean, the consecutive runs to state, and that's a big win for Pekin. Excited to see.
Yeah, Joey, and all the great names that have been through the Morton program, and up and coming star Katie Krupa, what she's done there at that program, and being on the bench, watching all of those great players and learning from them, and now she's shining on her own.
It's a machine. They just keep coming.
Yep.
That was Alyssa Russell on the 3 for Metamora to put them back in the driver's seat. And a Metamora team that has high expectations for that conference title this year. Dunlap will turn it over, and Metamora starting the second frame with some momentum.
And I think, Joey, too, a lot of these turnovers on both ends, Metamora and Dunlap, it's just like they're trying to break some double teams, getting a little too quick and sometimes kicking it off their feet, or, trying to break and getting hands in on there. But maybe the excitement level, the energy in this game, getting a little bit of nerves.
From right in front of the camera, Alyssa Russell will inbound. Right in front of us, I should say. She could probably hear us talk. Limited fans in attendance tonight, and they are all behind us. So we are the closest to the floor on this side, as Paisha tried to spin, was unsuccessful. Dunlap setting up the offense here. Here's Remmel. Remmel guarded by Lala Mandir. And Dunlap will slow it down, and as I say that, they tried to get it downloaded to Gallinardo, and Metamora tipped it out of bounds.
Yeah, Metamora doing a good job inside, not allowing too much in there with their defense.
Dunlap could go back into the driver's seat with a score here, and next dead ball, Elena Redgate will come in for Metamora. As she stands at the scorer's table, Metamora tips the inbound pass, but Dunlap there to respond. And Remmel, as a whistle is blown, a travel. Timeout, pardon me. Larry Larson on the assist there. Iced the shooter a little bit, John. It looked like, the whistle came in right as Remmel took the shot.
They did it. Threw her off a little bit.
Moot point, of course. They'll get the ball out of the timeout, but you wonder if maybe you have a 3 if you don't take that one.
Yeah. She could knock him down. She had space on that one. But, Joey, even as you can see on these inbounds, Metamora is really working. They're not really giving them any good looks inside. I think Metamora is trying to channel their defense, too, as they got the lead again. But I think we could see a lower scoring defensive battle if it keeps up the way it's been going so far.
Yeah, only, what would that be, 23 combined points the first 10 minutes of play?
As opposed to averaging 61 a game. And now they could turn it up in the second half, but right now we've seen a dogfight.
Remmel off the mark on the 3 that would count. As we go under 6 in the second quarter, and the Redbirds playing with the lead again. Up top, and it's Redgate fresh into the game. Redgate averaging just about 4 points per game in 5 games this season. Feeds down low, nice find, and Paisha turns around and drops it in.
And yeah, mentioned in her height, 5'11", get that turnaround step inside. It makes it very tough to defend.
A lot of height on this Metamora team. Get to that in a second as they try to create a break with Lala Mandir. And got it to Paisha, foul on the floor. And we will still see an inbound here. Neither team. Nope.
1-and-1.
That will put us in the bonus.
Did a good job getting down there to save it, and there might have not been a shot there, but
no.
Caught him in the air and one of your better free throw shooters, if not your best, going to the line.
No, they will call that. Yeah, they'll call the bonus back. That was a
Okay.
mistake. Yeah. Norm Ulrich and company made the mistake there. That was
originally the 1-and-1.
Yeah, 3 fouls for Dunlap and 4 for Metamora. Of course, we kid. It's been a well-called game to this point, John. Not a lot called, and it's had a nice pace to it.
Yeah, they're letting them play, and as you stated, the pace has been good. Seen a lot of defensive stops, and maybe we'll see some more scoring here as it picks up. But I like what I'm seeing on the defensive end, and ultimately defense wins games.
Both offenses feeling the defenses out. It's been a defensive-minded battle. As we talk about the pace, we will see free throws. Izzy Vandeschraff at the line. Good on her first. The 5'10 freshman guard. It's her first point of the afternoon. And a couple of subs. Cameron Youngquist is into the game for Metamora, and Peyton Haley back in for the Eagles. Second free throw from Vandeschraff is in. So a 5-point game equals Metamora's largest lead of the afternoon, but still a young game and obviously a very manageable deficit for Dunlap. That last foul was the second on Tanya Cummings. Dunlap miss on the offensive end. Cummings is out of the game and on the bench. And out of bounds. Dunlap says that was last touched by Metamora. Referees agree, and I agree as well.
And Joe, you got to love the effort by Rebel there. Misses her own shot, but quickly gets back to get a deflection in there and ultimately force the turnover. So you gotta love to see that when your players don't give up on a play.
That'll take us to our second masked timeout of the game. You see on the bottom of your screen, 4:43 left to play in the first half. I want to take this time, John, to shout out our entire crew, and go figure this is I think one of the only games this season where we don't have a crew graphic prepared. But Larry Larson on our on our computer today, John Michaels on our camera, Matt Harrington's taking pictures, and look, we do have an old one that'll work. Larry's name's not on it, but he'll take that. He's got a headset on. He can chime in whenever he wants.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't need any credit, Joey.
I do want to credit our crew, though, because, as Larry well knows, shall we say.
What a morning it was.
Shall we say automobile troubles, a fender bender, if you will. The fender's fine. Other parts of the front bumper are not. Little trouble getting here. Rolled in about 5 minutes before tip-off. The rest of the crew had everything ready to go and was able to slide in, and here we are. But, teamwork makes the dream work, as they say, and Clutch Sports Media team on it this morning.
As we've showed early in the season, being at the Dunlap Pekin game, having been set up and getting called 20 minutes prior, having a fender bender, it doesn't prevent us from getting on the air and bringing this game to you guys. So.
No, we will stop at nothing to bring the action to you at home. 3 coming up for Dunlap off the mark from Sutter. It's been a crazy year, John. It really has.
And, like viewers at home, with all these new rule changes, even though we are 4 or 5 games into the season, we're still getting adjusted ourselves.
Yeah, with the mask timeouts and with the the stoppages in play for some mask infractions, and we saw one mask come off earlier and they stopped play a moment. Of course, it was incidental, but stopped play and got that good to go. Fast break for the Redbirds. Sutter, good defense, was able to stop Vandeschraff.
Nice block there by Sutter in transition. Calling for the ball here.
Metamora so adept at forcing those fast break situations. Remmel a deep 3 on the other end, and that is off the mark. Remmel has taken a couple of those today, as Sutter again on the defensive end for Dunlap will force the turnover.
She's doing a great job, and that's the 3rd consecutive time, Joey, that she's getting down there and deflecting a ball and forcing a turnover. She might not be producing as much on the scoring end due to the defense that Metamora's turned on, but she's doing everything she can on defense.
5'11 junior forward really making her presence known, and an easy path to the basket for Bree Erickson makes it a 3-point game. Just when you think Metamora has mounted a little bit of a run, Dunlap responds. It's been a very entertaining game to watch thus far.
What you would expect in a matchup between 2 of the top Mid-Illini teams.
into the stands, a foul ball right in front of us. And we'll get another inbound from just in front of us. Tyra will inbound. Lala Mandir is back into the game for Metamora, and she gets the inbound pass. Guarded by Remmel. Erickson now playing defense on Tira. And a feed down low to Pesha. Pesha just a step ahead of Sutter. Easy two.
She's got that quick first step and just asserts herself, and you don't want to give her that window right there. That could be dangerous.
One-on-one now for Metamora, and taking it up strong, Alyssa Russell. Russell had a path to the basket and capitalized. Dunlap quick on the other end. Metamora controlling the pace a little bit. Three on the way. Yes, from Bree Erickson.
And they needed that one, Joey.
Erickson answers the call.
You don't want to follow up a miss and then go back down and Metamora score again. Next thing you know, you're in a hole, but they needed that three and they answered.
Russell a quick three for Metamora and hits. Alyssa Russell, junior guard. Anything Bree Erickson can do, she says she can do better. And a double team, Remmel in trouble, bad pass. Right towards us, Metamora the steal. And Pesha will slow it down. Now Pesha off the block, and a three for Metamora, and in.
They've turned it on now.
Grace Tyra the three.
Joe, you think Metamora responded after Dunlap hit a three just now with two of their own? And a turnover.
Turnover, DeGalinardo made contact with Pesha, I believe it was. It's Pesha up, spinning and blocked. DeGalinardo on the other end makes up for the turnover with the block, and Sutter will run it for the Eagles. She'll stop. Bank closed on this Saturday afternoon. And Metamora will slow it down. Minute 8 to go. Easy to forget the clock in a game like this. Three coming up and hitting.
And Joey, we didn't see this earlier, but Dunlap can shoot the ball. You know, they weren't taking threes in the first quarter, but just now that's three consecutive, and you're in a 29-16 hole.
Grace Tyra the three, the 5'5" senior guard. And all of a sudden, John, that's an excellent point. It is a 13-point game. Metamora has opened it up.
They sure have, Joey, and we've seen that Dunlap's looking for those, passes inside to Pesha, but she's passing it back out, and then we're just seeing threes rain in. But they responded very well after that one that Dunlap just hit. Next thing you know, Metamora's got the momentum.
It is a 13-point game. As you see on the bottom of your screen, 52 9/10 of a second showing on the clock. John, what's your call coming out of not the halftime break, but the timeout break for Dunlap? Down 13, couple ways you could play it. Do you hold for the last shot, try to end with any points at all? Do you go for a quick three? I mean, there are a couple different ways you could go.
I'd probably try to work something inside if it's not there, take that three. But I would still come in off this timeout and play for a shot. In the events they come down here and miss it, and you get maybe two chances at it. But being down 29-16, I don't know if I would hold it for 52 seconds. I'd probably come down, try to get a bucket, then maybe force a turnover, because you don't want to be sitting in this type of hole at halftime, especially going up against the top team in the Mid-Illini.
See how they play it. 52 seconds. There's a high pass to Remmel, floated over the defense, and Sutter will take a quick three. And in.
That's what you needed.
Lily Sutter answers. It's a 10-point game. Dunlap needing a stop here as Metamora tries to finish the second half strong. Certainly on their way to doing so. Lala Mandir now over to Youngquist. Youngquist to Terry. Terry double teamed. Back to Youngquist and Lala Mandir.
You see Tyra back in her spot where she's hit 2 threes.
Three short. Tyra the rebound. No. Rebound Dunlap and Sutter. They've got about 12 seconds. Up we go with Erickson. Erickson intended for Remmel, intercepted. And Metamora has a chance. Up with Terry. 3, 2. Terry spinning, looking for Lala Mandir, and Sutter will chuck up a shot that was short. All told, though, Dunlap needed that stop.
Yeah, Joey, they executed it kind of how I mentioned. They took their three, and I think they just got a little bit too quick there in transition and force instead of, working out. They had a little bit of time to play for the last shot. But all in all, good job of hitting that three there. But we've seen a very well-balanced Metamora team that's just playing for good shots.
Grace Tira leads Metamora with 12 points, but that 12 points is a little misleading. You would see that and think that maybe she has just been dominant in the scoring column, but it's those quick threes that have added up quickly. That's 12 points on 4 threes.
Yeah.
He's been very efficient, to say the least, from the field.
Yeah, after not shooting them much in the first quarter, we've seen him dial them in the second quarter, and that's what Metamora can do.
Very entertaining first half. 29-19 is where we will leave it at the halftime break. John will be back on in a couple of minutes for some analysis, but, final thoughts as we enter the locker rooms. What do you think the conversation is? We'll go for both teams. First for Dunlap, though. They played a good first half. I mean, they were right in it, led at some points. Metamora mounted the run. What's Heather Cassidy's message to the team?
Yeah, I think limit those turnovers. Keep up the defensive pressure like you've had. Try to, get inside on Paisha. She's opened up the lane and created some shots for herself, but also kicked them out and gave them some open looks. So I think you want to, force off on that three-point line, limit their threes. And then if you're Dunlap, keep playing your game. I like how they're playing. They're getting looks of their own. Offense is there. The shots that they have missed inside have just been tough ones that haven't fell. So I would say just, don't get impatient. Keep playing the game you're supposed to play, and don't get overwhelmed. You're not out of this game at all. So.
And for Metamora, it's got to be keep rolling, right? Especially as Dunlap tries to limit those threes. They've got to keep rolling from three.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where you do have that lead. You don't want to get overconfident, but just keep playing the game that you're playing. This game's not over yet. But, yeah, the way they're playing right now, Metamora on this offensive end and defensive end, they've looked really, really, really good.
About 8 minutes and change left in halftime, and we'll take a couple of those off. Joey Wright, John Komosa, Larry Larson, John Michael, and Matt Harrington, the Clutch Sports Media team. A good one between two Mid-Illini teams this afternoon. We'll leave you for a couple of minutes at halftime with Metamora ahead of Dunlap, 29-19 on ClutchSportsIL.com. Joey Wright and John Komosa back in with you, the Randall Tepke Gymnasium on the campus of Metamora Township High School in Metamora, Illinois. And John, back for the second half. It's Metamora 29, Dunlap 19, as you see on the bottom of your screen there. And it was, we were asked at halftime, are we surprised at the score right now? And I'm not surprised that Metamora is winning. What surprises me, I think, is that they mounted such a run out of nowhere, a 13-point lead at one point in the second quarter. It's now down to 10. Dunlap has a little momentum, but I was a little surprised that Metamora started raining in the threes out of nowhere.
Yeah, Joey, like you said, this game, you know, if you're just tuning in 29-19 at half, thinking Metamora's kind of been, you know, keeping the pace this entire game, and it wasn't like that at all. We actually saw a back and forth game where Metamora was leading early. Dunlap gets right back in the lead. They take the lead. But those threes just in the second quarter late, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, there's not much you can do there, and we've just seen a different look Metamora team. So we'll see what we see here in the third quarter.
And the third quarter underway just a little bit early. 54 seconds left in the break. They said, we're ready to play. Dunlap, the inbound pass. Dunlap won the tip-off, I believe, but no tip-offs, of course, this year. The opening tips. They inbounded to start the game.
It's another adjustment that we're getting used to, a coin flip as opposed to a jump ball.
First game we did this season was in this gym, and that caught us off guard. We thought, you know, it's an interesting wrinkle this year. No opening tip. Metamora's first possession of the half, and it'll be a quick three coming up from Ramage, and that is off the mark. Remmel the rebound, and she'll take it up for the Eagles. Remmel, if you're just joining us, we've talked a lot about her 35-point outing against Pekin the other night, and Remmel has had a nice one to this point in the afternoon. Handoff there, and it's Tanya Cummings. Back to Remmel for a three, and she knocks it in.
Not afraid to shoot the three ball.
It's a big three. It's quickly become who can hit the most threes. Metamora the advantage in Q2, but Dunlap off to a hot start in Q3.
And if you're Coach Heather Cassidy of the Dunlap Eagles, that's what you want right out the gate, is scoring first.
Sutter forces a steal down low. Sutter has forced a lot of trouble on defense. Layup, no dice. DeGalinardo the rebound. Nearly the and one, but she'll go to the line for two just the same. DeGalinardo has had a nice performance, too. I look back at a block she had on the defensive end earlier and a nice play on offense there. But player of the game candidate for Dunlap thus far has got to be Lily Sutter. Not lighting up the scoring column, has 6 points, you know, so, I mean, she has scored. But really, it's the defensive effort that has stuck out at me for Sutter.
Yeah, she's disrupted a lot of plays in transition, broken up a lot of passes. And she's been the glue right now, kind of keeping Dunlap in this game as far as her defensive presence. Like you said, only 6 points. Remmel would be your runaway scorer at the moment, but she's showing it on the defensive end. And we get a little quiet during these broadcasts.
Yeah, I was going to say,
because there's nobody in the gym.
John goes quiet because you almost have to there. It's you don't want to distract the free throw shooter. Absolutely not. First one was in, and it's a 6-point game.
And Joey, as you mentioned, as opposed to the first game that we were out here for Metamora IVC boys, where there were no fans, we actually do have some fans behind us today for these 2 games. So.
We do a limited number. 50 fans, I believe, allowed, but it doesn't look like there are 50 people here.
And with the weather conditions, too, might eliminate some travel. And that's why it's best to tune into Clutch Sports Media.
Exactly.
Yeah, stay safe out there.
The roads aren't great.
As we've experienced.
Well, second free throw coming up from DeGalinardo. My fender bender this morning had nothing to do. Well, I guess it was assaulter that got me.
I'm going to say, look out for snow on the ground, but also look out for snow plows.
Yes. Salt truck backed right into my headlight. And it'll be okay. Metamora thinks so, too, as they've got it on the offensive end and trying to respond from the free throws. It's quickly become a 5-point game. Dunlap took a 13-point game in the second quarter, and they've whittled it down since that point.
And if you're Dunlap coming out of that halftime break, this is exactly what you would want. Cutting it back down to 5 and turning up that defensive pressure once more.
Lalumandir to Pesha, and Pesha will slow it down. This is among the slowest possessions we've seen from Metamora today. Lalumandir now to Tyra, and Tyra will attack from the free throw line. That would have been her first 2 of the game. And a jump ball, that arrow will stay home with the Redbirds. So Ramage will inbound from under the basket. Ramage she's been held quiet to this point. No points for the sophomore, and a feed down low to Pesha, blocked.
And we mentioned that defense by Ellie Sutter, and there she is again. Sorry, Lily Sutter.
Easy to confuse the 2, and that 3 off the mark from Sutter, kept alive by Erickson. And that'll go to Remmel. Remmel the floater, money, and a 3-point game.
And Joey, I'm going to keep a tally on the names that I mispronounced today, or
well, Lily and Elle Sutter, they play similar
True.
styles and similar games, and they've both been key parts of this Dunlap attack last couple of years. Played together a year ago. 3 from Tyra.
As opposed to one coaching Morton and one hosting Wheel of Fortune. So, as a Bob Barker comment was made earlier.
Tyra, pardon me, no, it's Remmel, and Sollenberger for Dunlap goes back to Remmel, and Remmel a 3, stepping back and dropping it in. 3-point game again. Lot of answers and a lot of responses.
And Joey, one thing that's really nice about her game, and why I can see she scored 35, is she just creates her own threes. She can take it off a pass, but she just kind of spots up and shoots it.
Off the mark from Tyra. It was
a rebound.
A rebound from Marshall, and Marshall a little too strong. Good defense from Dunlap, and Remmel will slow it down a little bit here for the Eagles. And pass intended for Sollenberger. Sollenberger kept it alive, and Dunlap will come out of it with possession to Gallinardo. A key part of that as it goes to Sutter. And Sutter to Sollenberger. Sollenberger, a freshman playing varsity, attacking from the top. Didn't get the friendly roll. And Metamora will run and gun. Now they'll, again, slow the pace down a little bit. Metamora, John, not forcing transition looks when they don't exist.
Nope.
Tyra to Marshall. Marshall guarded by DeGallinardo. Got past DeGallinardo, but was fouled as she took it up. And that'll be 2 free throws coming up for the 6'1 sophomore forward.
And Joey, on this offensive end for Dunlap on that last possession, could you see that Remmel wanted another one there? She's trying to fight her way for a good look, but I don't think it was there. And I think Metamora has seen that now, and even after this quick timeout, that hey guys, we gotta contain Remmel because she could spot up.
Takes us to our 3rd of 4 masked timeouts. Joey Wright and John Komosa in with you on this Saturday afternoon. Alyssa Russell and Cameron Youngquist will come in on the other side of the dead ball for the Redbirds.
And Remmel's led the charge to get Dunlap right back in this game. And, I said earlier that this could be a defensive battle, but the way the scoring column's going, they could be right back there at their 60 that they average.
We look up at the scoreboard and our leading scorers. Right now for Metamora, it is Grace Tyra with a big 15 points. And Sophia Rebel, for Dunlap with the big 14. But, John, I'll go back to the point you made earlier. It has felt a lot more balanced than that.
Mm-hmm. It certainly has, and I think we're seeing a lot more offensive production. And one thing we didn't see as much in the first quarter, but then late in the second quarter, is these threes are starting to fall. I think when Dunlap can get going too, they're dangerous in that category, and we've seen how they quickly storm their way and cutting this lead.
First free throw off for Russell, but she got her second. A 4-point game. Dunlap, of course, could cut that back to one possession with any kind of score here. Sutter. Sutter to Remmel. Lalumandir comes out to guard. And Dunlap in no big hurry here as Harrington will try to feed down low to Sollenberger as I say that, and Metamora forces the turnover.
Yeah, and just some of those passes that they try to force in, that we've seen that from Metamora all game, that they're getting hands on balls in the air, and it's not a pass you want to force in. I think they're just kind of playing to get back and take the lead here, but
there's Russell down low for Metamora off the mark. Both teams are really doing some similar things on defense and getting some hands up and forcing some turnovers, poking some balls loose. It's Rebel up top.
Joe, I want to give credit, like we said, about Sutter on the defensive end. Has it not felt like she's been down there grabbing every rebound? It's also been big down there on the boards.
It's good basketball IQ and wherewithal, right, to put yourself in the position as a guard for those rebounds, those loose balls. You kind of predict where they're going to go. Foul on the floor as Harrington tried to drive the baseline. And a couple of subs in for Dunlap will be the return of Peyton Haley. And Vandeschraff is in for the Redbirds. Here's Remmel, looked at the three. Lala-Mandir came out quickly and forced Remmel to rethink it. And Remmel in a little bit of trouble as she finds Sollenberger. And Sollenberger, a lane, a couple of times now, John, where she's driven inside.
Yep. Just can't get them to fall, but she's getting in there for shots. Like I said earlier in the second quarter, just weren't falling either. But Dunlap's, they have the looks. The looks are there. And as we can see on that last possession, they locked down Remmel a little more. They don't want to give her that open look.
Now Metamora will inbound in enemy territory. Off the mark, rebound Terry. First one no, got a rebound and wisely decided to find an open teammate. Wound up with Youngquist and her three was off. And Remmel again, another loose ball she comes away with. And a kick to the corner and Harrington a three and a conversion. 1 point game.
Good drive in transition there. Unselfish pass in the corner, looking for the open look. And just like that, we got a 1 point game, Joey.
Dunlap has come out of the gate strong in the second half. Loose ball down low, out of bounds and last touch by the Eagles. So it was 29-19 at halftime. Do the quick math, and that is a 13-3 run for the Eagles in this second half. Only Metamora shot a three from Tyra. Down low, and there's Terry going to work as we say that. A 13-5 run and a big answer.
And Dunlap's done a really good job of defending Terry down low as she's asserted herself in the paint, but she gets her second bucket of the game there.
Nearly an and one. Cummings just a little bit off there. It was a high shot. Metamora forced it awry. Forced Cummings, I think, to rethink that. On her way up, might have forced the miss. And a big answer. We'll go back to that shot from Terry on the other end, committed to play ball at Lewis. As the first free throw drops in from Cummings. Remmel was on the bench for just a minute, John, but she's going to come back in along with Kayla Pasha and Katie Ramage back in for Metamora. So a couple of key players on both sides were on the bench for at least a little bit.
Yep, just to give them a quick breather, but Remmel's kind of steam heading your offense here, and it's important to have her on the floor. And there's the first 2 points for Cummings.
Two big makes at the free throw line. And a 1 point game again. Both offenses now settling in. A feed down low to Pasha. And Pasha couldn't turn around and drop it in. And a travel on the other end for Dunlap. So how does Metamora attack this last 45 seconds? Call it 46 seconds, John. You know, they probably just keep going, right? I don't think you hold it for the final shot.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like either team in this situation where you have more than 45 seconds that you're looking to hold. I think the way the tempo's playing out this game, they're just going to try to get a shot. Maybe, well, there's Sutter. Try to get inside, but Sutter's defense has just been phenomenal tonight.
Now Dunlap has the ball in hand, 20 seconds, and they don't seem in any big hurry. Of course, just the third quarter and a 1 point game. Now it looks like, though, that they'll hold for the final shot of the frame. It's Remmel. Rebel with 8 seconds. Slow to set up the offense. 5, 4, Rebel to Sutter. Sutter is fouled. And that foul will be on the floor. We're not close to the bonus situation, so Dunlap will inbound with a second and a half left.
And Joey, in this last 1.6 seconds, a huge opportunity for Dunlap to potentially take a lead and gain back that momentum. Even with a 1 point, that's getting in this game and regaining that lead is huge confidence going into the fourth quarter if they can get it done.
Sutter will start the possession, and it will go to Rebel. No, stolen by Pescia, out of bounds. It'll stay with Dunlap off of Pescia, and with 0.6 of a second left, John, it's
you don't have
who's the best volleyball player? Who can tap one up?
Yeah, you don't have too much of an option here. Just chuck.
Rebel got it off in time. Oh, and just a little bit short. Probably the best look Dunlap could have gotten.
Yep. Just good defense there by Metamora, eliminating what could have been a better look. But yeah, Joey, if you're Dunlap here, keep running the course. If you're Metamora, keep maintaining what you've been doing. But this is the game that we were all expecting. And glad to see it come down to the fourth quarter.
Take a look at the road ahead real quick, John. You mentioned keep doing what you're doing, and a tough road ahead for both teams. We'll look at Dunlap first. I believe I've actually got this mixed up on the graphic. I think that should be Metamora for Dunlap and Dunlap for Metamora. So we'll hide that graphic and try that again a little bit later. Too confusing to try and go back over that. We've got it written down in front of us here, so we'll run through them audibly. Dunlap hosts Metamora on Tuesday, and then on Thursday they host East Peoria. Then they're at East Peoria on the 20th, at Washington on the 22nd. That's a makeup game for Thursday. Last Thursday when those two teams were supposed to play. And then at Limestone on the 23rd of January. And for Metamora, the next 5, they will travel to Dunlap, of course, on Tuesday. At Morton on the 18th, that's Thursday. Then they host Morton on Saturday. 2 big games to watch in the Mid-Illini Conference. And then 2 big games to watch right after that. They host Pekin on the 23rd, and they are at Pekin on the 25th. So, that's a big stretch for Metamora especially. No easy ride for Dunlap. A couple of big games, and you'll see a couple of them on ClutchSportsIL.com.
If you can come out of any of these games sweeping a series, that'd be huge if you're Metamora. Dunlap, Morton, and Pekin, all very well-rounded teams.
Sutter stops and pops, and Dunlap has the lead. And, John, we've got about 7:20 left in this game, or 7:20 and change. You see the clock bottom of your screen. This game is going to determine a lot for the Mid-Illini Conference, how the last couple of minutes in this one play out.
It certainly is. Say Metamora loss, it'd be 4-1. I believe tied with Morton. Would they be tied with Morton?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Inbounded to Pescia. Pescia not quite. Terry was there with Haley, and out of bounds, last touched by Terry. And, it's a shortened season. It's a very condensed season. It will go by very quickly. Almost feels a little bit too early to start talking about who's in, the standings and where everything shapes out. But at the same time, it's not, because it is such a rush to the finish line. You want to get out early and stay there would be the ideal scenario. As Rebel tries to go to work, ideal scenario for her is dropping one in off the glass. And the Dunlap lead now growing again.
And Joey, one thing that I really like that Heather Cassidy's always done so well with her teams is look at the patience. They haven't gotten flustered. Dunlap's just playing how they have played all game, and it's resulted in them having a 3-point lead now. Rebel's done a really good job of that, and Sutter even hitting that bucket just a little bit ago.
Timeout called by Metamora. Brianna Morrow wants to talk things over with the team, and it comes with 6:37 left in regulation. Joey Wright and John Komosa. Of course, John, neither of us were on the scene in Chillicothe last night. A good one on ClutchSportsIL.com. Larry Larson and company had that one. Big win, the boys basketball ranks for Monticello over IVC. Another good one here. A lot of good basketball on our airwaves last couple of days.
And
last 2 days, I should say.
Yeah, Joey, one thing that we talked about too is you just mentioned the shortened season. You know, as opposed to years past, we've seen some of these small schools and large schools clash, but, you know, I think now with the capability of teams being able to add games in, we're seeing fun matchups like Metamora and Roanoke Benson this afternoon, or say a Notre Dame Peoria Christian, or a Dunlap and Roanoke. Any type of team, I think coaches are just...
Oh, and a charge.
Wow.
Authoritative call there, and that is a big play for Metamora.
Heather Cassidy did not agree with that call.
Well, it was a miss on the offensive end for Ramage, and Dunlap tried to go in transition real quick after that. And Metamora was able to get back, and right call or not, if you can put yourself in that position, that's a win in and of itself if you're Metamora or the defensive team in that situation.
Definitely.
So it's Ramage now for the Redbirds. Ramage to Tyra, now back to Ramage, and she's guarded by Remmel, and there's Sutter again, nearly forced the turnover, but Ramage was able to get back in time.
And Sutter's just done a great job on Pacia tonight. It's been in on every pass attempt, it feels like, and there's another rebound from her.
Sutter rises for the rebound, feeds ahead to Erickson. Erickson couldn't finish with contact, nor could DeGalinardo. Her shot was blocked. And the Redbirds' defense has responded well last couple of possessions. They haven't trailed for much of the game, but forced to play from behind a little bit here as we fire towards winning time. Feed down low to Pacia. Pacia turns around and drops it in.
Sutter with that good defensive effort, but Pacia just quick with that left hand on that spin. And they're not the turnover you want if you're the Eagles.
Tyra was there to force it for the Redbirds. Feeds down low to Pacia. Pacia back out to Ramage, a three. Haven't seen too many threes from Ramage. That one was off. Loose ball. Remmel was again in position for Dunlap to try and get there. She was tripped up, hit the floor.
Joey, we got a technical foul.
Yeah, and we'll see. Pardon me, John. I didn't see who the technical was on. As I was watching that situation with Remmel in the loose ball, and, you know, everyone's up from that okay. Remmel hit the floor hard.
It's an assistant coach technical.
Really?
On the Metamora bench?
On the Metamora bench.
Okay. So not what you want if you're the Redbirds there. Saw a little bit of chirping going on over there, but
Remmel will take the free throws. First one is off the mark. I tell you guys, I was a basketball manager in high school, and you know, you never want to be, if you're not a part of the game, a manager, an assistant coach, you know, of course you're a part of in your own way, right? But you don't want to affect the game, you know, and giving the team a free look at points. The opposing team.
And Joey, you got to think that, you know, you're just as worked up as the coach is. If you're a player, if you're an assistant, if you're a manager, that words are bound to maybe slip, you know, and you got to understand these refs are listening to everything, you know, and if they hear something they don't like, don't be surprised if that happens. So you got a good officiating crew on hand that's going to look out for.
Yeah, very well called game to this point, and we'll have a timeout here on the other end of the technical foul, mask timeout. But yeah, you know, you never want to see that. And there was because that could have a benefit though for Metamora too. The Bradley Northern Iowa women's game last night, Northern Iowa and they were tied at Northern Iowa was ahead 43-41, middle of the third quarter. Tanya Warren, Northern Iowa's head coach, got called for a technical foul. Bradley tied it on the ensuing free throws, 43-43, and then it was a 17-4 run for Northern Iowa after that. So a lot of times, you know, if your coach gets called for a technical or whatever it may be, that can fire you up. It's like baseball. You know, the manager will sometimes go out and argue with the umpire, and maybe he'll get tossed, maybe he doesn't. Always fires the team up, though.
And like you said, Joey, a lot of it, due to a technical is that intensity that you're letting out. So I think they could use that to their advantage. Okay, let's regroup, but still play with that fire without saying anything. But we could see if this has a positive effect on Metamora trailing by 2.
Second broadcast I'll mention it on in a row, because I used the same point after the technical foul on the Bradley Northern Iowa broadcast last night. I would have loved to play baseball for Lloyd McClendon. Just a fiery guy. He'll get you good. He'll get you ready to play.
Oh yeah.
5 to play here in the fourth quarter, and a good one. After the technical, it is Dunlap 39, Metamora 37. And Sollenberger for Dunlap finds Sutter. Sutter rises, couldn't fire, gets the rebound, and gets it out to Remmel with contact. It was tipped, but Remmel stays with it. Her pass to Sollenberger, perhaps a little off the mark, but everyone's able to recover. And it's Erickson will hand off to Remmel. Remmel to Sollenberger, and that's Julie Sollenberger finding Sutter. Sutter, no. DeGallinardo finishes. Offensive rebounds, key for Dunlap that time down the floor.
Good job cleaning up the glass. And now if you're Metamora, Joey, what are you thinking here? You're down?
Yeah, they have not traded. I believe 4 points it's either tied for their largest deficit or it is outright, and it comes at an inopportune time. Blocked by Dunlap, and Dunlap will come out of it. Erickson will run it up the floor. Erickson to Remmel. Metamora defense, John, they're coming out and attacking a little bit more here.
And Heather Cassidy signaling to Remmel, just slow it down a little bit. We have the lead. There is no shot clock at the high school level, so you're kind of playing against the clock here. But, yeah, Joey, as you stated, Metamora, it's different when you're in a back-and-forth game, but they're sitting here saying, wait, we haven't been down all game, and now we're playing from behind.
Remmel was called for the offensive foul there, pushed off a little bit. That's her first and the team's fourth. Metamora has 6 team fouls. So the bonus is coming up for Dunlap here if we see that in a little bit. No one's really in foul trouble, although Ramage has 3 for Metamora. Shouldn't be a problem. They'll feed down low to Marshall, and Marshall will rise to the occasion. 2-point game.
I think one thing that Morrow and Heather Cassidy will both stress is
3 for Erickson is short.
Is slow the pace down a little bit, because you're in a 2-point game now. You don't want to turn the ball over. You just want to have a good look like you just had in there inside to Marshall.
Finish every possession with a shot. Metamora will do that there. Off the mark. Rebound corralled by Russell. Got her own miss. And a feed down low to Pesha. Pesha finishes with contact. No free throws coming, but she got it to go and ties us at 41. Good one here in Metamora. And a timeout called by Dunlap. Heather Cassidy wants to talk things over. A full timeout, she says. Good timeout, I think.
Yep, I think so as well. Just kind of slow it down. Let's regroup and get back out there. And Joey, too, it'll be an exciting one in the last 2:35, a tie ball game. But even with the limited fans, you can still feel the energy in this place. And
you really can.
Something you would expect in a Mid-Illini showdown like this of 2 of the top teams.
The 5-0 Redbirds and the 3-0 Eagles. And yeah, John, the big thing there that last couple of possessions was the benches. The benches really came alive, and there's only, I look around, maybe 70 people in this gym, 70 to 100, give or take. But it felt louder than it had all game.
Yeah.
The benches came alive.
It has, Joey, and that goes for a lot of the games we've been at this year, even if they haven't had fans in attendance. It's that bench and your sophomore teams in the stands that's still bringing the noise, So you haven't felt slighted like it's not a real high school game. You still feel that atmosphere, that noise.
And it'll only get louder from here. We're ready to see a good finish in Metamora. Dunlap and the host Redbirds going at it. Lily Sutter will inbound to Bree Erickson. Triggers this possession, and a big one, tied at 41. See the clock, bottom of your screen. We're under 2:30 to play. Remmel a little bit slow to initiate the offense, but now she'll attack, and she'll pull up from the free throw line, in and out. Didn't fall. Rebound, Terry.
Couldn't get it to go.
Mid-range, not something we've seen a ton of today. Terry will slow it down. And it'll find Russell. Russell looked at the three, didn't take it. Finds Pasha, who shows a little pump fake, won't take it either. Pasha, slow, looks for her shot, finds Russell. We're under 2 minutes to play in Metamora. Russell to Tyra. Tyra to Terry. Terry wanted the three up top, didn't take it. To Gallinardo guards. Russell trying to feed down low. It's stolen by Sutter again. And a foul called there. I believe it will go against Terry and Metamora. We'll see here and confirm that for you in just a second. And it will, and that'll put Dunlap at the line in the 1-and-1 bonus.
And Joey, we're calling the game, but we're not jotting down stats, but you got to guess she's up in the near double digits, steals or deflections.
Got to be between, seven or 8 at this point. And she's been, even if she's not forcing the steal, John, Lily Sutter's been a part of almost every defensive play some way or another. Big make on the first free throw.
Yeah, it's for every defensive play that she makes, she just follows it up with a quick basket. You know, and she's been kind of it's a quiet 10 points, I would say. She hasn't really just been scoring one after another, but they come right when you need them.
Terry for Metamora. Heather Cassidy verbal there, giving her defense a message and a foul. John, Metamora was bringing it up. I think Heather Cassidy was yelling move. She wanted her defense to rotate and make things a little bit difficult on the Redbirds offense. Foul on the floor. One more would put them in the bonus. And a floater from Tyra, no good. Rebound Dunlap, and they control it here. They have a 2-point lead. 75 seconds left.
Rummel. I think that's a good timeout by Heather Cassidy just to regroup, say, hey, we got the lead still. So if you're Metamora, if you can get another basket out of this timeout and put more pressure on Metamora, that's just going to create more of a challenge for the host Redbirds here.
The timeout situation, 1 left for Metamora, 3 left. No, I've got that backwards. 1 for Dunlap and 3 for Metamora. And John, you know, the biggest thing when we talk about the IHSA, no shot clock, at least yet. It's on the way. But that's not good for Metamora here, because if you're Dunlap, you probably want to come out and run your offense, right? Yeah. But still, you can stall. You know, you don't have to go. You know, you can go when you want to.
Exactly. And then, you know, in doing so, that's gonna have to force Metamora to get up in your face, maybe foul when they don't want to necessarily, but as opposed to the shot clock would make it a completely different game.
So here's Remmel, gets the inbound pass and shakes past Lala Mandir. She tries to go all the way and turns it over. Metamora could take the lead with a 3. They'll go for the 2 quick. Pasha lost it, it was blocked, and Metamora will inbound, still on the offensive end.
Some crowd noise behind us, fans are getting into it.
And Metamora will call a timeout. Brianna Morrow wants to go over the game plan. John, do you think it's going to be a similar message, maybe slow down a little bit? I don't think that was a bad possession for Metamora, given, you know, you want to run in transition. But out of the timeout, the set offense, I think you want to keep it slow.
I agree, Joey, and I think if there is a break in the defense by Dunlap and there is a 3 there for Metamora and one of your better shooters as Tyra has the look, you could potentially take it. But I think what they're going to do is work something inside to Pasha here, as they've done most of the game. It's probably your best option, and if she doesn't convert, there's always a chance at a foul there. But I'd play for the tie at the moment. You know, get a look inside. So, and if you're Dunlap, just keep up that defensive pressure that you've had all game.
Got to watch the 3 if you're Dunlap too. Grace Tyra on the floor with 15 points on 5 threes. If you're just joining us, it was 29-19 Metamora at halftime, a 24-11 run, or a 24-12 run, pardon me, for the Eagles. Has given them the lead. It's Terry down low, drawing contact, and she will shoot the biggest free throws of the game in a couple of seconds. 58 seconds and 1/10 of game time showing on the scoreboard, and it's Terry who could tie it. First free throw in, and Terry is committed to play at Lewis, as we mentioned a couple of times. A player you want on the charity stripe.
And at 5'10", especially in the high school level, you have a little bit of mismatch on some players here. So.
And knocks in the second. 43-all with 58 to play. Good one here at the Tepke Gym. Dunlap will take it ahead with Sollenberger. 50 seconds to play.
And there's your star looking for it, Remmel. It's exactly who you want having the ball in her hands.
Remmel guarded by Lalamandir. 40 seconds left. Looking for Sutter, finds Sutter. Sutter guarded by Russell. 30 seconds left. Dunlap in no hurry here. Sutter to Remmel. Lalamandir out on the defense. Looking for a screen perhaps for Sollenberger. Nope, Sollenberger will come back towards us. 20 seconds to play, and Remmel looks behind her, has nothing. Now looks for Sollenberger again, nothing there. 10 seconds left, stolen by Metamora. Here go the Redbirds, Lalamandir. Whistle, timeout.
Timeout.
Metamora.
And that's not what you want if you're Dunlap, but a huge steal by Metamora. Now you got the chance at the last look and potentially the game winner.
9.6 seconds.
Now, Joey, coming out of this timeout, you play for something good inside, but who do you want taking that last shot?
I think it's got to be Tyra, right?
Yep.
Or, well, the thing of it is, though,
Tyra.
John, you don't have to look for the three, you know,
You
of course.
don't.
So
I think Tyra's your sharpshooter. I think anything inside, Terry, Pasha, and then if you know they're going to contain, they might double off down there. So if you could get Terry or Pasha to the line to end your game, that's who you would want at the line. But I think they're going to play for something inside. If the three's there, obviously, you know, let it go.
neither team with any fouls to give. Another thing, too, John, is, you know, how quickly do you initiate the offense? It's tied. You don't necessarily, you know, you've got the safety net, the insurance policy of overtime.
Yep.
When do you initiate the offense? Do you go quick or do you hold the couple of seconds? And
I might say hold for 2, run it down there with 7, but you got to think you still want to get something inside and let one of your players control that game and give them enough time to situate themselves and get a bucket down there. But we'll see what they do, Joey. She could pull something out of the bag here. And
neither team with any fouls to give. Both teams with one timeout. Alyssa Russell will inbound for Metamora. That pass is tipped. And getting there in time was Youngquist. Goes back to Lalamandir. She tries to feed inside. Jump ball coming up. No, foul is called. Down low.
And Joey, on that possession right there, she inbounded the ball and kind of had her back turned, but Pasha was wide open under the basket. I mean, credit her for being there, but her teammate didn't see that, but you could see the whole bench signaling, throw it.
Kayla Pasha at the line. 5'11" junior forward, 1-1. Up, in and out, rebound to Gallinardo and a quick timeout for Dunlap.
And like we said, that's who you want at the line, but just couldn't get it to go there.
Man, what a sequence that was on the offensive end. And it could have gone either way, I feel like, John. Jump ball would have favored Metamora, so, you know, either favorable for the Redbirds. You get Pasha at the line, and that's a tough situation, you know, to be at under pressure. Bradley, Northern Iowa, I go back to that game if we can draw any similarities between the two. Northern Iowa won it on an inbound pass, a 3 with just about 2 seconds left. I think it was 2 3/10. That's get John. And where do you go if you're Dunlap here? I don't think you have time because you're not going to get the advance. I think you've just got to feed it in and let someone go.
Yeah, Joe, you don't have much going on like we saw on that play by Remmel when she heaved that near half-court shot up, and it just fell a little short. But I think she's your best option as far as just throwing something up there, maybe get her to the half-court line if she can, but you don't have a lot of looks here.
De Gallinardo will inbound, looking for Remmel. Remmel catches it, got to get something up, and Dunlap forces her to take the dribbles. We're going to overtime at Randall Tepke.
What a game so far.
Wow, an incredible matchup to this point. 43-all. And let's play one more.
Yeah.
Free basketball coming up. Of course, it's always free on ClutchSportsIL.com. But a 5th period coming up. What a way to spend a Saturday afternoon. Another game right behind us. That's right. Metamora boys in action against Roanoke Benson at 3:30. if this game's over by then. We'll see.
Yeah, Joey, and you mentioned in this game, Heather Cassidy, Brianna Morrow, two extremely good coaches in this area. And then you're looking at your doubleheader, Danny Greaves and Abe Zeller, two great boys coaches in this area, two fiery coaches that play with coach with a lot of intensity. But I think it's going to be an intriguing matchup for Roanoke and Metamora. We've saw Metamora earlier in the year and got a lot of well-rounded players in Zach Schroeder and Ethan Kaiser. Then you got the returning senior Luke Brayman, 6'9" for Roanoke.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. You and Larry will have the call for that one at 3:30 Central Time. So join us then.
Might run a little later depending on if this one keeps going.
Check my watch here. 1:53 on the Central Coast.
We'll be good then.
Well, you'd think.
Lost track
we
of
need
time.
some lunch, man.
We do need some lunch. I've got to whip up the graphics for the next game. Larry didn't want to hear that. So we'll eat when we can. Man, what a great afternoon of basketball. Metamora, you would think, might be the slight favorite in the afternoon game, but Roanoke Benson, they'll come to play, and that won't be a runaway win for sure. We're looking forward to that.
And as you said, here at Clutch Sports, we're willing to sacrifice eating for bringing you the best basketball content that we can.
That's right.
Even if it goes on an empty stomach.
Overtime underway. Lalamandir slow to initiate the offense.
Now, Joey, do you think just based on how this is starting, do you think you'll see a slower overtime, or both teams are just playing to get a good look?
I think we will, but I think so much of the pace has come from steals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the pace will only heat up if Dunlap can root something away. The three off the mark.
Good look there for Tyra.
Yeah, deep three, but that shot's been falling to this point. Here's Dunlap trying to drive with Sutter. Sutter with contact, nearly the and one. But she'll have two at the free throw line.
Without that little deflection, might have got that one to fall. That was a really nice take from her with the left hand.
Sutter, the first free throw on the way and in. Lily Sutter quietly with 11 points. We've talked so much about her defense, but she has gone up into double digits and increases that number with the second free throw. Dunlap back in the lead.
And if you're the Eagles, this is where you keep up that pressure. Don't want to give them an open look from three yet, but
Lalamandir forces the Dunlap defense to come out to her. That's Sullenberger. And goes back to Lalamandir. Pump fake. Feed down low to Pesha. Pesha is blocked by Sutter. Sutter keeps it in.
Sutter the block and the save, which she's done all game.
Incredible defensive play. Remmel on the pass from Erickson. Now finds Sutter again. And Sullenberger will run the offense. Now finds Erickson. Erickson trying to send Remmel in motion. Guarded by Lalamandir. Remmel is down there. It's not quite open yet. Now she'll hand off to Remmel as we approach the 2-minute mark. Now into the corner. And Erickson botched around, and Metamora will come away with it in front of the scorer's table.
Seen a lot of turnovers like that tonight.
Feed down low to Pesha. Pesha further to Terry. Terry ties us up. 45 all. Minute 45 as Remmel brings it ahead. To Sullenberger, tries to attack. 11 on 11. Tyra forces her back a little bit. Now it's Remmel. Remmel looks for Sutter. Sutter floats one up, short, got her own rebound, back up and in.
And Joey, regardless of who wins this game tonight, I think Sutter's just been hands down one of the best offensive and defensive players on the floor at all times.
Now has 14 points, 14 in white. Russell sends it over around the arc. Loose ball, rebound to Gallinardo. That was Tyra that took the shot, I believe, and a jump ball will favor Metamora. It's been a quick 4 minutes of overtime.
It has.
The fouls don't reset in overtime from the fourth quarter. The timeouts do. Metamora with 2 left and Dunlap with 1. And it looks like we will not see one here. Look like we might for a second, but Dunlap inbounds, and we're back to action. So here's Sutter, and now Heather Cassidy will burn a timeout. That's her final. And now the officials are going to talk something over. But Cassidy wants the timeout. It was the jump ball arrow, John, because, that confused me too.
Yeah.
It was Metamora's ball. It is what the arrow indicated.
Yeah.
And Dunlap inbounded real quick, and Dunlap still is going to take the timeout, but we'll see who comes out of here with the ball.
It's a little confusing there, guys. I was expecting Metamora to inbound that basketball because the possession arrow favored them. Perhaps they reversed the call to a foul, but then we would have seen bonus free throws. So a little confusing.
Well, and, a lot of times maybe the arrow was wrong, because normally you've got a backup kept in the scorebook. The official scorekeeper will usually jot him down. So quite possible that forgot to flip the arrow. It didn't flip between overtime and the quarter, between the fourth quarter and overtime. So
which is a common mistake. We've seen that at the college, even the NBA level, as far as WNBA level, as far as maybe a possession arrow just not being right.
It's easy, it's easy to overlook. So we'll see, and they will. It looks like Dunlap will maintain possession out of the timeout. So, yep.
Dunlap's got it.
Difficult to see as they're coming towards us, but yes, Dunlap will maintain possession.
And playing with that 2-point lead, so learn off that mistake and try to eliminate a turnover here. And
Remmel on the wing. Lala Mandir guards. Dunlap playing with a 2-point lead. Sutter in the corner. And they'll try to slow it down a little bit, and now Dunlap fouled by Metamora. Metamora says, let's start sending them to the line. And in the 1-and-1, John, why not?
Exactly, Joey. I think, too, this is where you want to be at if you're Dunlap. And, you're going to come down and they're going to force a foul. You want to be at the line, and then if you're Metamora, you just put that pressure right back on them.
First free throw from Sollenberger is in. The 5'6" freshman guard has made a couple of upperclassmen plays, shall we say. Not afraid to attack. Only has 2 points, but has looked good otherwise.
And 2 big free throws there.
Now and they will update that to 4 points now for Sollenberger after the 2 makes. So a 4-point lead for Dunlap. 3 from Russell on the way, just a little bit short. Offensive rebound, Pesha. Pesha up, blocked by Sutter. 30 seconds left, and Metamora will foul.
And, Joey, we've seen this all game long. I mean, Sutter's just been a force down there and even given Pesha, a tough time on some looks down there. But now Sutter, one of your top free throw shooters, going to the line with a chance to extend this lead to 6 if she can knock both down.
Brianna Morrow and company elect to take the timeout. They will ice Sollenberger before the free throws. Or Sutter, pardon me.
Guys, I've got one thing to add. It feels like a normal game in here.
It does.
With the atmosphere,
It
it's
does.
heated up a little bit here in OT.
That's what I said, John. I think when these places start letting fans in, I think that's when the officials are like, I don't know about this.
Yep.
Oh, man.
But, Joey, going off after this timeout, if Sutter can convert on both, if you're Metamora, if you're Dunlap, you're almost forcing Metamora to shoot the 3 now. You'd almost have to with 31 seconds and just to get back in this game.
And Metamora was still with 1 timeout left. That timeout, John, a lot of people don't realize this when we get these close high school games. It really helps to have a couple of timeouts in your back pocket because if it gets to a close game, the clock doesn't stop after a made basket.
Yeah.
So, there's going to come a point where that's really going to work against Metamora.
And like you said, if she makes 1 or 2 or both and you come down, you hit a 3, you still got that timeout like you said. So it's crucial. And see what Sutter can do here at the line. She's been very productive on the offensive end, more so on the defensive end even.
She's in the double bonus now, and Yep, I think that's what the confusion was there.
Kind of threw her off mid-form there.
Iced the free throw shooter. Sutter at the line, and the first free throw no good. So that's a big miss.
And honestly, Joey, that whistle might have had an effect. She was going up for a shot, and they blew it dead.
Second is in a 5-point game. Metamora has really they've done a nice job with the threes thus far. 25 seconds. Lala Mandir, we'll see if it goes to Tyra. No, she's going to go in and float one up, and a quick response. And Metamora will take that timeout right after the basket with 20 seconds left.
I think that's what Brianna Morrow was hoping for, is that quick score and then using that timeout. And as you mentioned, that's exactly where you want to have that one in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But Joey, anything now, 3-point game, the way they force turnovers, this could be a wild finish.
It certainly could. And without that timeout, John, you're looking at the shot went in with 22 seconds left. By the time you're all set up on the baseline, you've got 5 seconds to inbound the ball. So that's where it comes in to play. Is we got 20 seconds left now, and Metamora can draw up a play to force a turnover or foul, whatever they like to do. But without that timeout, you're looking at 15 seconds left, and you don't have the ability to get nearly as organized.
Yeah, and I think if you're Dunlap here, Joey, because there is no shot clock, looking to foul, like you said, but you want to get, depending on who's inbounding, Sutter, Remmel, or Solenberger at the line. I think 3 of your best free throw shooters, and give yourself a chance to extend that lead and put the pressure on Metamora even more so. But if you're Metamora, here's where you're trying to force a turnover on this inbound, get a steal.
Sutter will inbound. Sutter looking for Remmel, finds Remmel, and Remmel is guarded by Terry, in trouble here, double teamed and fouled.
Oh, wow.
Fouled with 15 4/10 showing on the clock.
And had that whistle not been blown, they almost trapped her there in the corner. You could see how Remmel tried to throw it off her the defender's leg, thinking she was trapped, but luckily that foul bailed her out.
Remmel did a nice job drawing contact. Her first free throw, though, does not fall. Still a 3-point game, 15 seconds left. Second free throw, Remmel, quick. No good, rebound Metamora. Redbirds have a chance. Up goes Lala Mandir. Lala Mandir feeds to Tyra. Back to Lala Mandir. 3 is on the way and in! Dunlap quickly gets it in, and Remmel in front of us. 2-1 at the horn is wow, double overtime coming up.
What a game, Joey.
Oh my goodness.
And you could see on that last play, as she was shooting her free throws, how Tyra was ready back over there waiting. So you knew they wanted to shoot a 3. It wasn't her, but they got one to fall, and that was huge. What a game. And we said a wild finish, and it certainly was. We're going to another overtime.
Katie Lala Mandir, remember the name. Junior guard, shot of the year on our airwaves so far. Unbelievable.
And Larry's been on our computer, but Larry, chime in on that one. What a wild finish.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that's the most crowd noise I've heard at any sort of sporting event.
Wow.
In about a year. Wow.
Throws you off almost a little there. It sounded, what did we say? And now we've got the Metamora boys team is in here with us now, but still, 100 people in here tops, and it felt like a playoff game.
And guys, you wouldn't see it on our feed for those of you watching at home, but I love how the Metamora boys team was over there by the door. Now they've transitioned to the bleachers, but right as that 3 was hit, jumping up and down, you gotta love to see the support and the boys team and the sophomore team rooting on the girls. And guys, this has been everything that we would hope for in a matchup between 2 high-powered Mid-Illini teams.
Double overtime. You guys think that boys game's going to start at 3:30?
Now it's looking a little closer.
This one might still be going on. 4 more minutes on the clock.
No lunch for us.
No lunch for Clutch Sports
I'd rather
Media.
watch this.
What a game. What a Saturday afternoon it's been. Remmel. And it was we go back to that last possession for Dunlap with no timeouts, John. They had to shovel it in, and Remmel did her best to look for a teammate. And Dunlap will turn it over there. Redbirds up with Terry. And John, I'll feed this point in real quick. Early in this overtime period, it's a shame that either one of these teams is going to have to lose this game.
Exactly, because you've seen them both just lay it out on the line. The defense by Sutter and just by Metamora as well, and there's Pesha. But Joey, yeah, you said how many girls up and down this roster have just left it all on the floor today?
Pesha gives the Redbirds the lead. They have not led. I don't think they led in the first overtime period. And a quick three coming up for Remmel. That's off the mark. Rebound Pesha, and the Redbirds will push the pace a little bit here, but as the Dunlap defense gets back, they'll wisely slow it down. So now they'll swing it around and they'll look for Tyra. Tyra to Terry. Terry back to Tyra. And Tyra to Lalamandir. Remmel comes out to play defense as they feed it into Terry, and stolen by Sutter again.
Sutter has just been in there all game long, interrupting passes, and there's another steal for her.
Sollenberger trying to attack from the top. Sollenberger back to Rebel. Pass was deflected. 2.5 to play in the second overtime period. And here's Sutter. Sutter looking, options limited, finds DeGallinardo. DeGallinardo with Terry on her, going to Sutter, and Sutter fouled on the floor as she was looking for Sollenberger, and free throws coming up.
And as we've seen in these last couple possessions, they're really doing a good job of cracking down on Sutter and Remmel, making sure they don't get many looks because they can both create shots. So Sutter back at the line with a chance to tie this ball game.
First free throw rims out. Couple of substitutions. In comes Cummings for Dunlap. And Marshall comes in for Metamora. Second free throw in from Sutter, and it's a 1-point game. And Marshall, fresh into the game, Russell, pardon me, into the game, will set the offense up. Guarded by Cummings, finds Lalamandir. Lalamandir, guarded by Sollenberger. Looks, finds Russell. Russell, the feed to Marshall. Marshall trying to spin around DeGallinardo, couldn't do it. And Gabby DeGallinardo hauls in the board. Up goes Dunlap. Dunlap quick with Sollenberger. Tries to go coast to coast and does.
There's the freshman. That's a huge bucket for her, Joey. Getting them back in front.
6 points for Sollenberger. All have been crucial, out of bounds, and that's a turnover.
See, I think when you play at that pace and you pick up and transition a little bit, after that bucket by Dunlap, you see Metamora just turn it over. So you kind of throw them out of their rhythm a little bit.
Sollenberger up, crosses the timeline, and there's a pass to DeGallinardo that was intercepted by Lalamandir. So Lalamandir will slow down the offense. Minute 25, and Metamora trailing again. They showed us in the first overtime period that a late deficit, and a late deficit that was much worse and much later, I should argue, not a problem. Russell inbounds, finds Marshall. Marshall feeding down low to Pesha, and Pesha makes the Dunlap defense pay.
And we're at a 1-point game, Joey. What are the odds of a third overtime?
Oh, man. Let's do it.
Get us that much closer to our tip time for the boys, we'd be right on schedule.
That's right.
We could bypass lunch and go straight to the game.
That's right. Just start playing. 50 seconds left here and change as Remmel's going to attack. From the free throw line is fouled. And John, at the line for 2, make or miss. Now Metamora is going to know what they need on offense.
Exactly. Like you said, you split a pair here and tie this game, or you go up one. And Metamora certainly knows they've seen an overtime already. I think it helps when you've been in that situation once and now they know what they have in store, but you can't ask for a better game. And those of you, if you're watching at home, this is certainly a high-quality matchup.
It's everything we thought it would be, right? I mean, we talked top of the show. I thought we were going to see a little more scoring.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to see the scoring, but it's taken us 2 overtimes to get there.
Yep.
But neither team with a loss this season. First free throw, in. And I don't believe we've ever seen, this is certainly the first double overtime game we've seen this season. Second free throw off the mark. Rebound, Metamora. Fans wanted a foul, didn't get it. Out of bounds. Last touched by Metamora, they say.
Wow, and Rebel came in. They're arguing the call. Some fans don't like it either, but great defensive effort by Rebel. And you could argue that both ways, Joey, if it was a foul or if it was a. Now that.
It was a bang-bang play, though, on the out of bounds. You know, Rebel came in, or they say it was last touched by Dunlap, I think. So they went back on their initial call. And Metamora will inbound. In any case, that's big.
So, Joey, would you hold here?
I think you got to go. You got to go, and you got to know what you need and trust your defense.
You want to slow it down.
Marshall. Marshall looks, finds Russell. Russell with 20 seconds left. They will slow it down. Tie it at 54. 10 seconds left in a timeout.
Joey, and I don't know. Third overtime, it doesn't seem so far-fetched now, but we'll see who can get the last shot here. But, oh, man, what a game. And the fans are certainly into it, too.
They are. They are into it. So we'll reset it for you here. 11 and 9/10 left. The sixth period of play. Double overtime. 54 all. And, John, as I think about it, I think I hold. I do think I hold.
Yeah.
You know, there's a case to be made, I think, for going quick and trusting the defense. But I tied at this point. I think you got to go, and you got to try to win it.
Yeah, and I think working anything inside, you know, getting a look to I would say Pesha or Terry down there and getting a look, I think that's your safest bet. If they completely block that off, a three wouldn't be out of the question, but either team would just want this game to end now, you know, and try to come away with the win.
Grace Tyra has not scored in quite a bit, has 15 points on the 5 threes. 14 points for Metamora's Kayla Pesha. Looks like the Redbirds are going to go with Tyra to inbound it, and she will inbound it to Alyssa Russell. Russell with 10, feeding to Terry. Alana Terry driving off the block. No, rebound Dunlap. Dunlap with 3, 2, Sutter. And I believe that's going to be a timeout Dunlap. It will be. Wasn't sure, John, if that might be a kick ball at first.
Kick ball. I saw some hands. I wasn't sure if there was a foul in there somewhere, but we're going to see a timeout. And your 2.1 almost seems like you can do something here, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of time.
Man. Watch for a 3 to go next to that OT here in just a second, but you've still got a little time. Dunlap, that was wise of Heather Cassidy to wait until they crossed half court to get the advancement.
Yep.
That's big because it's not automatic. So that's going to let them set up something from the half court.
I think Remmel, if she can come off a screen, or one of your better three-point shooters.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be Remmel or Erickson, I would think. But Sullenberger has not been afraid to take shots. A lot of times, and of course no one has, but Sullenberger has really attacked in some crucial situations. So would you have Sutter probably throw it in?
That, or if she doesn't, Sutter working her way off a screen, you know, any type of perimeter jump shot or three.
They don't
Sutter,
go ahead.
Sutter will not inbound, so she's out there as an option.
Gabby DeGallinardo will toss it in. Didn't quite get the advancement to half court, but they're still in better shape than they would have been. 2 1/10 left. Dunlap will inbound. They go to Remmel. Remmel loses it. Here's a shot for Metamora at the horn. No. Pesha will hold it. And we're going to our third overtime on this Saturday afternoon. Unbelievable.
What a game. And you said, Joey, it took us a while to get there, to hit that average that they've been scoring in the 60s, but I think at 3 overtimes we might see them get up to that. But
it's only going to take 7 periods, right?
Oh, yeah. I think the boys are saying, are we going to play today?
Well, so our next game is, we've told you, Roanoke Benson and Metamora boys basketball. A good game and a good matchup in itself. It might have a hard time reaching this bar with 3 overtimes, but that's going to be a good one. Roanoke Benson, a good 2A team, and Metamora, of course, has had a lot of success. It is 2:16 with a 3:30 tip-off for the boys' game. So, you know, You'd think, but as we see that number start growing, 3 becomes 4 and 4 becomes 5.
Exactly.
Who knows?
And it seems like either team, it's so back and forth right now, and they're exchanging missed free throws for buckets, and turnovers have led to buckets, and just feels like they've really been balanced playing the same type of game. And I got a basketball from Norm Ulrich.
How about that?
In the stands here, so.
You don't get to keep the foul balls, or the, when a Major League Baseball player will toss one in. Norm Ulrich, of course, long time at the Journal-Star, as Metamora will force the turnover there, but Dunlap's going to get it right back. Nice job from Pesha, but Sutter again in the right place at the right time.
Now, I will say, Joey, I just touched that, and I haven't played in a couple months. I hope none of my rust wore off on there for.
Well, a couple of acrobatic plays here to start the third period. 3:40 and ticking, and 3 OT. There's Sullenberger going up and getting it off the glass.
Good take, and much like we saw in the second overtime, she had an early bucket as well.
Sullenberger, one thing to watch, has 4 fouls for Dunlap. No one else is really in foul trouble. Terry has 3 for Metamora. But nevertheless, no one's really in foul trouble except Sullenberger, and Terry will go to the line.
And Joey almost had a nice up and under there, but Terry's been consistent at the line tonight.
I say that, though, and hold that thought a second. Terry gets the first. Pardon me, Lala Mandir has fouled out for Metamora, I believe, so I say that with a grain of salt. But of the players on the floor, we should clarify, we're in good shape. Terry off the make on the first. Misses on the second, and Sutter corrals the board. Sutter will try to attack, stops and pops and converts.
Sutter up to the 18-point mark, tied with Rebel for.
We'll talk player of the game when this one ends, but Sutter has got to be a candidate.
I would think, Joey, just based off the defensive effort to go around with the 18 points she has. Like you said, you got to think 8-9 steals, to mention double digits in rebounds. She's been there for every play, just about.
That was Pesha on the miss. Terry, the rebound, went up and drew the contact. And her first of 2 free throws off the mark. Second miss in a row, and Terry has been good at the free throw line tonight, or this afternoon. Second one would make it a 2-point game. Eerily quiet in the Randall Tepke gym as the second goes in. You mentioned it earlier, John, but we're almost scared to chime in with how quiet it gets.
In a triple overtime game like this, where free throws are crucial down the stretch, it's almost like you don't want to distract anyone.
A little more noise in here when Dunlap's at the free throw line, I would say, but when Metamora is at the line, you're scared to open the mouth. Sullenberger. Traveled.
Get her with another turnover, so if you're Metamora, you're looking to tie this game coming down the floor, but Joey, it seems like for every bucket that Dunlap's converted, that Metamora just has an answer right back, which we've seen for 2 straight overtimes, now going to the third.
Go back to the first one. Metamora was down 3 with 10 seconds left. They were able to get a 3-pointer to go, and that is what triggered this. And here's Metamora around the world. Up top, and Russell. Now they feed inside to Pesha. Pesha brings it out, goes up, couldn't get it. Loose ball, rebound, Rebel. And Dunlap will take a timeout.
And Joey, as you mentioned in that first overtime, what led to that 3-pointer was a missed free throw. And playing either of these teams as high-powered as they are, that you can't afford to miss your free throws, which I think has really stressed Cassidy and Morrow at times and led to buckets for the other team. But this is why we've seen a back-and-forth game as such, because there has been a little bit of both on each side.
Reset it for you with 2:15 in period 7. 3 overtimes thus far in Metamora. 58 for Dunlap, 56 for Metamora. And we take a quick look at some scoring leaders. It's Sophia Rebel and Lily Sutter for Dunlap with 18 points apiece. We look at Metamora, 15 points for Grace Tyra, but she has not scored in a while. Really had a big second quarter, a lot of threes. Those 15 points coming on 5 3-pointers. And 14 points for Kayla Pasha. And then a couple of players, of course, for both teams with single-digit figures, notably 8 for Sullenberger of Dunlap. Dunlap will inbound with the lead.
Yeah, the credit you got to give, Joey, is some of these players that haven't scored in double figures have contributed in huge ways defensively or led to buckets in these overtime periods that have been crucial.
Dunlap up top, and spinning around is Sutter. Sutter in a little bit of trouble there in the corner. She's double teamed, a lot of bodies down there. Gets rid of it to Rebel, poked loose by Pasha. But back up to Erickson, and they'll slow it down. Sullenberger gets a screen from DeGallinardo. Looks the other way, though, and finds Sutter in the corner. And Sutter up top. Stops, looks to Erickson. John, Metamora's defense has been so close a couple of times this possession.
You almost had 2 swipes there for steals, Joey, in the last possession right there.
Out of bounds,
last touch, almost forced another. But I think that's where it's key that you are playing with the lead in a game like this, and you obviously want to stall a little bit, but you got to think, you get to a corner, they trap you. You get on the outside, they trap you. So you really got to be protecting the ball.
Dunlap inbounds. That was right in front of Remmel to Sullenberger. Looked a little bit messy, but they come out of it well. Remmel regains the handle as Tyra plays defense. It's a handoff back to Sullenberger, and now it's Sullenberger guarded by Vandeschraff, and Sullenberger hits the deck and a foul. Izzy Vandeschraff, we should mention, is in for Metamora. Has been for a little bit. And 2 big free throws, it goes without saying.
2 big ones indeed for the freshman, Sullenberger here.
Sullenberger up. The first one didn't even hit the rim, it didn't look like. Falls to the floor.
It's an air ball. Chance to redeem herself here on the second. Put the Eagles up 3 if she can get it to fall.
Second on the way. Sullenberger's second off the back iron. And Metamora will run ahead. Terry stops, looks behind her. That's Russell. Russell gets it back up top. 3 is on the way. In and out. Rebound, Pasha. Pasha looked for Russell. Turned over. Dunlap with numbers. They'll slow it down. 40 seconds left in 3 OT.
Good job by Sullenberger there to kind of keep her footing and get that ball back. Almost lost it.
Down low. Cummings lays it in.
We haven't seen much from Cummings recently, but wow, what a bucket there.
Tanaya Cummings, a big layup. 25 seconds. Metamora down 4. Corner, Tyra, 3 on the way and in. Grace Tyra answers the call. 20 seconds left. Timeout called by Metamora.
For every bucket, they got an answer, and that's the case again. Tyra, our leading scorer. Like you said, Joey, quiet for a little bit, but you couldn't hit a bigger one than that one right there.
Just when we thought you couldn't hit a bigger one than the one in 2 OT, right? And then the one in overtime.
Yep.
And then the shots at the end of regulation. It has been that kind of ball game in Metamora this afternoon.
So I'll tell you this. You're going to inbound the ball. You're up 1. You're assuming they're going to foul here. You make 1 or 2. Could we see a 4th overtime?
Man, you've been right on the 2 OT, the 3 OT.
Oh.
There are situations, of course, where that adds up mathematically, right? On the free throws, whether you hit 1 and go down and get a 2, or you.
Guys, if we keep going, we might have to check the record books and see, dig into some IHSA history here, and see if we even come close to, if we got to 4 or 5. But we'll see what we can do in 3 here.
Tells you what kind of game it's been, right? If we're talking about IHSA history in the middle of 3rd overtime.
I want to think, I'm just going off the top of my head, that we're not anywhere close, but
we'll see. Dunlap will inbound. Sutter nearly, it was Haysha, who came in, nearly forced the steal. Dunlap gets it in clean, goes to Rebel, the corner, and she is fouled before the pass. So that'll send Rebel to the line, pardon me, John, with 14 3/10.
I was going to say, if you're Rebel here, this is a chance to really kind of make up for those missed free throws that she had in the other overtimes, and a chance to knock them both down, which should force Metamora to shoot the three, which they are not afraid to do. As you can see, Tyra, same thing she did last overtime, is get down there and get situated. They push in transition and look for her.
Tyra is right under the opposite basket. Free throw in, both of them for Rebel. Metamora will push, neither side with a timeout. 10 seconds left. Russell to Tyra. Tyra a three, short. Rebound Dunlap with 7 seconds, 6 seconds. Rebel fouled with 4. And that'll send Rebel back to the line. Sophia Rebel with 4 3/10 left and a 3-point lead.
And Joey just couldn't get that one to go, but that's the look you want over there in that corner. Maybe
it looked good, I will say. I thought it had a nice line to it. First free throw from Rebel is in.
That's big.
And John, that'll about do it. You know, we talked about with having no timeouts, even if Metamora could muster up a quick shot.
Yeah, I say you bring everybody back and just kind of let them.
Tyra at the buzzer, one more. Off the glass, rebounded by Dunlap. But that won't matter. The Eagles get a big win in 3 overtime, 64-59 over Metamora. What a ball game it was on a chilly Saturday afternoon.
And Joey, takeaways from that game, just now that Dunlap came out on the top side of play here, Ellie Sutter, I mean, you have to argue Rebel put up a great game, but Lily Sutter, just what a phenomenal defensive effort by her, and just all the way up and down for Dunlap.
Rebel finishes with 22 points for the Eagles and 18 for Lily Sutter. But, John, when we talk about a player of the game, and Sophia Rebel had a fantastic game, of course, led all scorers with 22. It's got to be Lily Sutter, right? Just for the sheer amount of defensive plays that she was a part of.
I agree. I think, Rebel was your scorer, and Sutter was close to her right there in the scoreboard. But at the end of the day, she made so many crucial plays, forced so many turnovers, had so many clutch rebounds. It's just hard to counter out as not earning player of the game. And I'd like to see stats on rebounds and steals at the end of the day of how many she had, because my guess she could have had a triple-double there.
Just with the sheer volume of steals and just the play she was a part of. And we'll get a look and see if maybe Dunlap doesn't track those stats on the bench. Of course, it's not college or the professional ranks where you get those live stats in the middle of a game, but I would be curious to see if there wasn't some Dunlap assistant coach that was maybe keeping track of that on the bench. That incredible effort, and a great effort up and down the Metamora sheet as well. Grace Tyra, couple of big threes. Katie Lalamandir fouled out there before 3 overtime. But, I mean, she had a couple of clutch shots. The three that extended the game at one point or another. It was one of those.
Yep.
Incredible game, John. We'll leave it there. Final thoughts, if you can manage.
Yeah, what a phenomenal game, and everything we would expect out of 2 top teams like this. And they got to meet up again on Tuesday, Joey. So they bring that energy. But what a game! Like you said, you go back and forth exchanging buckets, and just such a well-balanced offensive and defensive game, and everything the fans could hope for. And we're going to have another great game for the boys in store next. So
another one coming up on ClutchSportsIL.com, or if you're watching on YouTube, refresh your browsers at, about 3:25. Give it about, what, 54 minutes now? I mean, We're running kind of right up against it, more so than we thought. But join us for that one. That's going to be another great one. This one, 3 overtimes. We'll see if we can match that in the second game. We've had an incredible day. But Roanoke Benson, a great 2A boys team. And, of course, Metamora, 3A, a team that is expected to figure into the Mid-Illini conversation this year. A lot of fun coming up. So that's where we'll leave it. Larry Larson, John Komosa will have that second call, but for our entire Clutch Sports Media team, Matt Harrington, John Michael, Larry Larson, and John Komosa, I am Joey Wright. Our final in 3 OT in Metamora, Dunlap 64, Metamora 59. Thank you for watching this presentation of CSM.